Okay, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. And the weather is getting even more active as thunderstorms continue to increase. We now have a variety of warnings, including the Syracuse area, but also northern and southern areas. So let's talk about all this. Just into the Weather Center, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and it does include Syracuse for until 2:45. Excuse me, yeah, until 2:45. That's just right in through here. In fact, we can even zoom in a little bit for you so you can see all the little towns in Onondaga County, who's got and who doesn't have it here, just to zoom in closer. So you see how it's splitting. Basically, it's essentially right through the city of Syracuse, almost the 690 Route 5 corridor-ish. You can see exactly where the people in yellow have the warning and those that do not. However, you may have also noticed that there are tornado warnings across both northern and southern spots. Remember that storm we've been harping on in Jefferson County heading towards it? I was saying it's the strongest of the bunch and it had some big time rotation. Well, the Weather Service finally put a tornado warning in effect for areas up there. And there's still a tornado warning in effect for the Elmira, Corning, Horseheads area. New into the Weather Center, that same storm right now has been given a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Ithaca area. So let's talk all about it with the Fossil Service experts live triple Doppler radar. The most electric storms, I use that in terms of lightning, is this one and this one. The one that has the tornado warning by Elmira has very little, if any, lightning, but we're still going to zoom into it anyway. A couple of cells here, this one and this one. We'll keep an eye. They're not overwhelming. Let's look at the velocity. There is some rotation in these. Not tremendous, but still you need to be weather aware and get in your safe spot. But this part here, this tornado warning is technically out of our viewing area, but maybe you're watching this from the Horseheads area. You still need to stay safe. And heads up, in the Ithaca area, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We move closer to Syracuse, and the warning's in effect for the immediate central New York area. I'm going to show you how things are moving just a couple of times here, just so you can get the kind of feel. First thing you may notice here is that the lightning has dramatically increased with the storm that's heading towards northern Onondaga and southern Oswego County. That would be this one right here. In terms of timing this particular storm out, at least the front edge of it, that is the start time of those. Lysander, Scruple, Brewerton, West Monroe. I should throw in Bernards Bay there too. You see that? Constantia. That doesn't mean other places aren't seeing it. Just the worst lightning is heading to those areas at those times in terms of a start time. Okay. We're going to take off the lightning because it's covering all that reflectivity and show the velocity. Do we see any spin in this? The answer is no, we don't. But we do have some very strong winds here, although let me just take a look at something else here. I'm looking at look at a different velocity scan really quickly. All right, that storm there is getting stronger. This right here, it's not spinning yet, but right in there where you're seeing some yellows, I can let you know that the winds are as high as 60 miles per hour at least in that storm. And that one's moving towards Van Buren and Baldwinsville, which just got hit with some uprooted trees right in through here. So heads up. Get in a safe spot. Even though there's not a tornado, there's likely damaging wind heading toward the north end of Jordan Elbridge, the north side, then Bengal, Van Buren, towards the Baldwinsville area, and then potentially even into the Clay, Liverpool, Euclid, Cicero area. Oh, right away, tornado warning just issued. That literally just happened. We need to go on the air too, so I have to make a phone call. Give me 1 second. We need to go on the air as well, so I need to make a phone call. Give me 1 second. So this is real time, folks. We are on the air live social, but I got to call people so that we go on the air completely. Yeah, we got a tornado warning, dude. Tornado, we got to go. And by the way, Matt, can you switch the webcam to the camera as we're doing that or no? Because I'm currently live right now on StreamYard. If not, then just I'll sign off here. But just let me know. I've got my IFB and everything ready. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Let me shut off another light. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's regroup here and move this camera. We're probably going to have to sign off because I have to be on TV as well, making sure we're covering this. Let me make sure my microphone is on. Check as if any. Okay, we got to go live whenever you're ready. I'm going to sign off. Tune in on NBC3, CBS 5, or CW6. We're going to be live on the air there shortly. I'm just going to sign off on this. I'll see you on TV. Okay, who do we have up there in my? Jeez. Okay, we've got more warnings popping in. I just got an EAS, by the way. We got a tornado warning for Syracuse, just north of Syracuse right now. So we got to go whenever you're ready. Yeah, we got to go. Whenever we're ready, we got to go. Good afternoon. I'm NBC3, CBS 5, and CW6 meteorologist Peter Hall at 2:08. We have tornado warnings in effect for the immediate central New York area. Let's go right to the maps. And if we could also, at some point, maybe bring up a split screen where I'm in the corner, that would be great. We've got tornado warnings in effect for the immediate Syracuse area, especially the north side. And I actually think the worst is probably going to be just north of the city. We also have one near and north of Watertown as well. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings. There's the line. Let's zoom in for a closer look. And this is the storm that has got the most possibility of producing, at the very least, damaging winds and maybe even a tornado right in there. We put the velocity up there for you in just 1 second, just to show you what things look like. It is this storm right here. It's the one that is north or west of Jordan and into the Plainville area. Right here, we're going to zoom in and go even tighter for you so we can call out some places here, because we can throw in, this is a problem for the Baldwinsville area. Right in here, Village Green, Baldwinsville, Plainville, and eventually Three Rivers and Belgium. It's this right in here. This is a very strong rotation that has just developed right in here. And the velocity was, I actually just saw 90 to 100 miles per hour. Now, granted, that's up in the clouds. Let's take the volume off of this. Sorry about that. I had a volume on in a different source here. Those of you that are right now working in the Baldwinsville, Village Green area, Liverpool as well, Van Buren, the north end of Jack's Reef and Plainville, you need to go to the basement right now. Okay, if you live in the village of Baldwinsville, if you live in Radisson, if you live at Moyers Corners, the Belgium area, that area, you have a tornado warning, and it's a very strong rotation. It wouldn't be surprising if there's actually a tornado on the ground. Josh, you got anything for me?
Yes, just a couple of printout reports here of some information about each of the new warnings. The Cuyahoga County now extended into northern Onondaga if you want to pass anything along, or I can help with that information there.
I would just say, go look at maybe look at CAD, maybe look at webcams. If you see anything, just let me know.
Sure.
Appreciate it. If you want to hold on to those, that's fine. These are radar indicated, thanks to that, Josh, radar indicated storms, not confirmed necessarily on the ground. However, you need to be prepared and take this as if it is on the ground. Also wanted to tell you about a tornado warning heading right towards the Watertown area. This is unusual to get this many tornado warnings, and now we're talking about possible two major suburban areas or city areas getting tornadoes. This is nearly unheard of to get this kind of severe weather here. This is right now bearing down on the Watertown area. I know we're not the NBC affiliate in Watertown, but I'm sure there are people that are watching this that know people there, or maybe you are watching it. Get into a safe space right now. Basement is best. If you don't have a basement, go to an interior room and away from windows. Put as many walls as possible between you and the storm so that you are not impacted by whether it's a tornado or extremely damaging winds. You know what? I'm going to bring up a tornado warning graphic. I didn't even have that one ready here because we just had severe thunderstorm warnings, but I definitely have a tornado warning. I can show you the graphic about this in case you're curious about this. Thank you for bringing up the split screen. You got to stay calm, okay? Because if you're agitated and you're upset, you might not be doing the right things as quick as possible. Stay calm and just do these things. Go to the interior room. If you don't have one of those, you got to lie make sure you're away from windows. Cover your head. Make sure you're protected. If you have a helmet nearby, great. Believe it or not, shoe wear is important because if, God forbid, your house or work is damaged, if you don't have shoes on, then you might actually step on things and cause yourself additional injury. So, with that in mind, we want to completely go back to the radar and the warning so that we are on top of this and letting you know what's in effect to see if anything else. Here's a full look at everything. And I'm actually going to take this time to actually zoom in. You can just see the different cities and towns that actually are in the warning and are not. So looking at that, you can see different towns and cities are basically, it's almost like Route 5 North. That is who's got the warning officially and who should be actually taking cover. I will say this, just looking at this right now, okay, in terms of the worst possible damage and or possible tornado, it's probably going to be the center and north of this line, okay? At least the way it looks now, I would say roughly the thruway north. I'm hopeful that we can spare this area, because not to say that we don't want to spare this area, but there's a lot more people here and there's a lot of people here. We don't want everybody getting a tornado or damage, but that's the way it looks right now in terms of who's got what. Literally going down to street level here, you can see all the little streets here across the suburbs, north and west of Syracuse. And again, the velocity scan showing me that the worst winds are in here. Moving east-northeast towards Liverpool, moving towards Van Buren, Village Green, and Baldwinsville. There's also a ton of lightning. You see all those strikes moving across. You need to make sure you're in your safe spot. The tornado warning is in effect until, for Onondaga County, it expires in 16 minutes. Okay, this storm is moving very quickly, so you got to be quick about you getting yourself safe. Okay, and there's the Watertown warning. Don't want to forget you guys up here in the Watertown area. This has been actually the strongest cell of the bunch, and this has literally been coming right towards you the entire afternoon, and we've been giving you a lot of heads up online. Now we're giving it to you on the air. Let me just wait for a cycling here of something, and then I'm not seeing any damage reports yet because this is very, very soon. I can tell you I'm looking at an Oswego cam where there's a severe thunderstorm warning and there's torrential rain. I will say this, most of our area is going to get torrential rain inside the storm. That's not what makes a storm severe. It's the wind damage and or possible spinning up of a tornado that's the worst. I'm going to look at one other thing before zooming out here. Yeah, so from what I'm seeing here, the worst winds from this, whether it's tornadic or not, are likely going to be roughly near and north of the thruway, and especially at for the next 10 minutes, would probably be very close to the Route 31 corridor and just to the south. So to show you what that will look like as we zoom in, I'll zoom in again on this cell. Maybe I'm a little too tight on this. I'll zoom out just a little so you can see a little more of the area here. Basically, it's this line, roughly, and again, roughly this line. I know 31 is a little further north than this, but it's this storm right here that has the worst winds, lightning, and storm. Josh, if you have a mic and ready to go, you give me a thumbs up. You ready to go? Yeah, I hear you.
Okay,
you got something for me?
Yeah, so
okay,
I did check CAD so far right now. Nothing just yet. It's all happened within the past past couple of minutes here. But we are trying to, of course, you're alerting everybody. Want to give you a breath as well. Take a drink of water, Pete. You're doing a great job. Also want to make sure everybody is aware that with this warning, this is a unique area of our viewing area, Northern Onondaga County, and just all of a sudden these storms are just ramping up. I will pass along one piece of information about the warning here specifically for Northern Onondaga County. There is the chance not just for the spin going on, but also potentially here, I don't know if you mentioned it, Pete, but also potentially here for maybe some nickel-sized hail, maybe larger. We've had a history both yesterday and also in West New York today of storms capable of producing some hail. So it's not just spin damage. It could be straight line damage. It could be a little hail damage also potentially in our area.
Yeah, that's a good point. The reflectivity of the far northern part near Phoenix it would show that hail. That makes perfect sense. I'm looking at the radar on a different site here, and I'm seeing winds in the storm of 65 miles per hour right over the village of Baldwinsville right now. I put a big X on the map here to try to show you the worst core of winds, possibly tornadic. Regardless if it's a spinning wind, and Josh would agree with me on this, if you have a 100-mile-per-hour spinning wind or it's a 100-mile-per-hour straight line wind, it's still going to be wind damage.
Extensive.
Yeah. You need to get in your safe spot. Why don't we go over those safe spots there? I'll bring up the graphic while you tell us there, Josh.
Yeah. So again, anytime we have a warning like this is a unique one and everyone needs to take it seriously. I just got the emergency alert buzz on my phone, Pete. I'm sure a lot of our neighbors, viewers got the same one where it's an alert, emergency alert type of deal with this specific high concentration of population in our viewing area here. So yeah, number one, you got to stay safe, take a breath and say, you know what? Yes, it's a bad storm, but you need to take action. You don't just let it passively kind of brush it off and say, you know what, I never get hit. This one's not a big deal. Okay, tornado warning. We've had a number of them this summer. But getting in a low level, we can't emphasize enough. I have a basement in my house, Pete. I think you do too. And if I was home right now and I live in North Onondaga County, I would be following this to a T because we need to make sure we're being smart and using common sense and getting away from the windows. You know, everyone says, oh, tornado, I got to go take pictures and video and I got to send it to Pete and Josh.
Right.
No, I mean, yes, that'd be great. But that comes second, third, fourth to your safety and making sure that your family's safe. Windows can easily crack and break from just a little bit of debris outside. Everyone has a cell phone. That's probably how you're watching this live coverage of this warning right now. At least a lot of you are watching it on your phone at this time. Having your charger. I lost power at my house a little bit last night, Pete. I'm telling you the honest God truth. We can still lose power with this storm coming through, even without damage. So it's really important to kind of follow our guidance here to make sure you are ahead of the storm, you're safe, you're calm, and you got to be smart about it and really try to alert anyone out in the area, wherever they may be in Northern Onondaga County. Then tell them to stay put, don't try to rush home, and at least ride out this warning wherever they may be.
Right, lowest floor of the house or business. A basement is preferable. If you don't have a basement in your place of work, get to an interior room. And it's important not to be in a large room. For instance, and I know there's nobody in school right now, a gymnasium would be a poor choice. It'd be a poor choice of what's going to be happening here because that actually, you've probably seen videos of stuff caving in. You want to be in a smaller room because that actually has more walls and structure to protect you.
Right.
And again, just to show, and I just want to bring this up really quickly here. 1 second here. I just want to make sure I've got this correct here. Give me 1 second. Want to just, again, call out the places that have the worst winds. It's, again, Route 5 North technically has the warning, but from what I'm seeing on the radar, Josh, it's roughly that. If there's the worst damage, it's near the Route 31 corridor. It's right here. I mean, the worst is right here, at least from what I'm seeing. And here you go. Here's the velocity. Josh, take a look at this. Everybody who's watching this, look right now, okay? I'm going to take the lightning bolts off just a second because there's just too many things to look at. But you see, you can see it, right, Josh?
Yes, I can.
Right here. This is bad. Tell us what that means, Josh.
So almost like think of a swirl symbol, almost like an S shape in the atmosphere. When you see green touching red on a slightly spin or S-shaped orientation on the map there, just west of Baldwinsville, that is where the winds kind of like merge or kind of like almost like rubbing your hands together to try to stay warm in the winter, back and forth, or at least in one direction, opposite each other. Also think of a rolling pin on a dough, like pizza dough on the counter, because you're rolling it one way and it's going the other way. And that is where a generation of rotation and spin is likely occurring with this storm.
Right. Just put a little time up really quickly here just to show you the start time of what might be an actual tornado or straight line damaging winds, it really honestly doesn't matter. But obviously a tornado is much more eyebrow raising and eye popping. We're looking at a velocity scan. Why are we doing this? For two reasons. Number one, it shows us how strong the winds are. It also shows you the direction. So when you've got winds like this, what we're actually looking at is winds blowing one way in one direction and another way in another direction, just like that. Now, Josh, you do have your mic on, so just want to make sure you mute your mic because I can still hear you. Anyway, this is where if there's a tornado on the ground, it's right over Baldwinsville, which we did call out first, even before this tornado warning when I was live on social right here. Next up, this is a very populated area. We're talking the Clay area, Euclid, Warriors Corners, Three Rivers, and eventually all the way across to potentially Oneida Lake as well. Here's the reflectivity. Kind of doesn't look like much, but again, it's this velocity scan that has me the most worried in terms of not only this couplet, but all this bright red right here. This is a large area. That includes not only Radisson and Three Rivers, but all the way down to Van Buren, the north end of Onondaga Lake Park. This is going to eventually be for North Syracuse, is likely going to get some strong winds, maybe even Hancock. I would assume, by the way, that flights are likely stopped in and out of Hancock. I don't have that information, but I would assume they're not going to be taking off or landing in time on these storms. Josh, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, we got this warning, Pete, until 2:30 tonight. And the reason the warning was issued was because this, what you're describing, this couplet, the rotation of air in a very short distance, kind of a very tight part of our viewing area. And just to reiterate what the National Weather Service said inside their warning, basically back at 2:06, there was a storm cable producing a tornado near Jordan, which is west of Baldwinsville, right down in this area right here, right near the thruway. Okay, so that was back at 2:06, and it was moving east at 40 miles per hour. So that's generally this direction, like so, heading through Memphis, Garden Terrace, near the Van Buren area, Camillus. You're kind of on the edge of that as well. So anybody watching in that area, I know many people who live in Camillus who are saying, you know what do I do? You got to take this information seriously. Also want to include the information passing along. Quarter-size hail also possible this storm, not just a threat for wind damage. So we got a combination. It could be straight line. It could be rotation, Pete, and also potentially here for really just, I think, the debris outside. So tree branches. I know some folks in Camillus who actually had storm damage from last week's storms that came through. They had some big branches that got kind of chopped down and really didn't fall off the tree, got stuck. So we may be seeing some more of those. A few other spots within this area. We can see on the map here, see Van Buren, we mentioned Liverpool, you're in the path, NBT Bank Stadium, the Fairmount area. And right in here, again, we're watching still, not just the rotation wind, Pete, but everybody is apt to see at least some kind of wind damage, would be straight line winds or even just a little bit of the rotation when it's possible. I circled that second one to the south because that's actually not rotating, but it's probably got the strongest winds. It's right now approaching the state fairgrounds and right over the Amp in Lakeland right here.
And Onondaga Lake Park. That literally, I just got a new scan on a different, let me delete all these things. You can see it a little bit better here. I just got a new scan, and Lakeland is probably seeing wind gusts of 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, and we know 60 miles per hour is enough to knock down a tree branch of tree. When you get to 70, we're talking about big trees that are really probably rooted in the ground well that also could then be knocked over if they're not too old or not too weak or too rotted. Those could happen. That kind of damage can happen. Utility poles can be knocked over, which is also pretty impressive with wind speeds. When you get up to above 70 miles per hour, we're talking close to like stones, and maybe in cemeteries, some of that wind 80 miles per hour. That we're not talking about necessarily that yet, but maybe within the rotation wind, that is certainly possible. We're talking about, you mentioned briefly, Pete, maybe upwards of potentially 90 to 100 miles an hour. So that's if it gets up that level, we're talking about some extensive and serious damage.
Yeah, and just I think you may have said this. This is a radar indicated tornado. There's not been a tornado actually sighted. That doesn't necessarily mean there isn't one. And I didn't mean to draw arrows out of your head there, Josh, but that second bottom one that was moving literally over Lakeland and now moving over Onondaga Lake and Liverpool and then North Syracuse. Then we've got that airport, Hancock Airport area. We've got East Syracuse and Collimer, eventually towards the Cicero Swamp area. And either one of those circled storms is going to be good enough to create some sort of wind damage. So you want to be inside. You don't want to be driving. You want to be inside and treat it as if it is a tornado, because there is a tornado warning still in effect. I believe it's for the next 5 or 6 minutes or so. Yeah, 5 minutes.
And just how often do we get a tornado warning, let alone our viewing area, Pete? This summer's been pretty active, yes. Sure. But in northern Onondaga County, where a lot of our neighbors and viewers do live, that is a very rare occasion. So take it at face value. Say, you know what? I'm just going to go with what they say. I'm going to take it safe and be smart about this. If you got friends, family, loved ones in the Syracuse area, they say they work in Syracuse, for example, Syracuse University, any of the hospitals in the area, I'm sure they're aware of this, but in case they're not, this is an impressive and dangerous set of storms coming through, tornado or not, just general wind. Assume some kind of wind damage will be occurring. Pete, we had dozens of reports yesterday with wind damage, and we didn't even have a tornado warning in North Onondaga County yesterday.
That's right.
So unfortunately, weather like history can repeat itself. And we mentioned this in the forecast last night that it would be certainly a chance for everybody. Even with a severe thunderstorm watch, you can still get tornado warnings.
That's a very good point. You don't need to have twisting winds or a tornado to get some major damage. And this is actually going even more over a populated area than yesterday. The greater Syracuse area and immediate suburbs, there was some trees down in Baldwinsville, but it was almost like the city itself, or even very close to the city, was spared. I don't think that's going to be the case for our Liverpool area. North Syracuse is about to get hit by very strong winds at the very least.
And there are a lot of
tornado.
And there are a lot of trees in Liverpool. A lot of trees in a lot of these suburbs too. We know that. I know yesterday too, we also had reports of trees falling on roads. Of course, that could block roadways too. So we will continue to update on damage reports too. I know I lost power a little bit last night. I would be surprised if we don't see any power outages at all today, Pete. National Grid is one of the areas we do check for you as well. So again, zooming in on the storm, I'll kind of move out of the way and show you some of the towns and villages. We are getting down to street level. Yep. This is a serious warning when we're showing street level radar, and I'm at the wall without the jacket. We got Pete over in the weather center. So this is really serious, and we're trying to make sure everybody gets the right information to help you make decisions today. So here's the airport reference. Here's Mattydale, Salina, town Salina here up towards North Syracuse. This area of pink, see that over Onondaga Lake right here? We're talking some high winds. Pete, what would you estimate? 70 mile an hour winds? Okay, so that's clearly above the minimum threshold for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing damaging winds like we had yesterday. And I think most of yesterday's damage the reports within the warning were only 60 mile per hour wind speeds estimated. Now we're looking at 70, so it's even more serious, I think, than the batch of storms that came through yesterday.
Agreed. Do we have any we have a producer up there that might, or anybody up there that might be able to bring up any kind of other webcams or anything that we can show that on the air? If not, that's okay. Okay, so that's right by the throughway there. Why don't we bring that up? That's the Lakeland exit, I believe, or Jones Road. Yeah, that's not really going to show too much. Can we show something that might show more of the sky versus than just that? Let's go back to the radar. That's not going to give us really anything here if you don't mind. Anyway, so look, you just got to get inside. Treat this as if it was a tornado on the ground, okay? We don't want you being outside, even if it's just straight line wind damage. This is hitting a large area. You should treat, by the way, this is what I wanted to look at, treat any traffic lights that are dark, not working, as four-way stops. It's a good reminder, because the last time I did this, Josh, I couldn't believe how many people didn't do this. I was surprised at that.
Yeah, and maybe they've never experienced it, or it's been a long time since they experienced it. So it's like right away, and who got to the intersection first, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, you know what? In these particular cases, you've got major severe weather, and you got power outages. People are going to understand if you're late. And if they don't, well, then that's their problem, because this is important for us to all be safe. We don't want people getting into accidents after the storm because there's wind damage, and then you can't. I can tell you that Geneva got some wind damage here. I believe Mike Brookins just texted me here to see if Mike Brookins has no wind damage in Van Buren, no funnel clouds, which is good. So that's good to hear that. So let's recap here. Okay, I'm going to take all these things off of the map. We're going to start over as if this is just from the beginning, just to recap and reset, because maybe you're not watching us from Syracuse. Maybe you're watching us from Ithaca. Maybe you're watching us from near Watertown. Number one, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire now that it's 2:30.
It's great news.
That is good. there's still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 2:45 for the same area. It's the same storm. It's not like the storm just died off. It's still got lots of strong wind, Josh. Do you have anything that you just found?
Yep. So I'm looking at National Grid's storm outage map, actually on my phone here while I'm at the green wall. And I can say that there doesn't seem to be extensive power outages. It looks very sporadic. Like, for example, 4 near the city of Syracuse, maybe a few down towards Otisco Valley, and a couple hit or miss ones down south of Syracuse too. But for the most part here, we're not looking at like a huge swath of damage with power outages just yet. Of course, if any new storms do cause damage, they're going to update their map here too. A little bit more down towards Homer, Cortland, also out towards Baldwinsville. I see about 3 or 4 more reports, Van Buren, a couple reports of some power outages there. So,
and they're also NYSEG, which is a large portion is NYSEG across
right.
the Finger Lakes. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. We want to get that important information out. Since there is no tornado warning in effect anymore, we're going to just do a quick recap and then send you back to programming, okay? Here's a look. Now, I've zoomed in really tight on this with the velocity scan, which is totally fine with all due respect, because this is still showing extremely strong winds heading. It's right over the village of North Syracuse. And just looking at my velocity map here, I still see 70-mile-per-hour winds, Josh. This is not anything you want to fool around with. That's near hurricane force, and that's going right over the village, near the airport.
Oh,
you know what?
There's some thunder up here above the station.
We remember they used to have an airport webcam, and now we don't have that anymore. It's too bad, because that would have been good to see. Yes. Either way, this is a very populated area. We talked about people an hour ago when we were on the air to get off of Oneida Lake, because this was heading your way. And because you're the tallest object, even if you're in a motorboat, because it's flat, okay? But anyway, you need to I know there's no tornado warning in effect for North Syracuse, Bridgeport, North Manlius, towards Green Lakes. If you're golfing on Green Lakes or you're at Green Lake State Park, you need to hurry back and get inside a place.
I know we're focusing on the spin there. It looks like another tornado warning has just popped up there, Pete, in extreme northern county. Let's take a look at that one.
That's a good call. Let's go backwards here.
And that was just the outline one where we have all the colors going on. So maybe we just want to take off the radar to show that.
I'm just going to go back just to show you in reference. So they've reissued now new information. Josh, good call. You saw it first as you were on the map, and I was looking at something else. The tornado warning is in effect for that same cell. I'm going to now bring this back to here. I'll show you the reflectivity really quickly. I can actually you can see the polygon underneath it. I'll just zoom out just a little bit here. There's the polygon. This red thing is right there. It'll zoom. See how it's blinking? That's the tornado warning that's in effect right now. We want to go back into street level because there's so many people here that might actually be affected, unfortunately, by either wind damage and or a tornado. It's the same. There was actually 2 spins, remember, Josh? There was one up here, and that one's not there anymore, which is good. But this one actually took over as the strongest one. I'm going to put a little X box right here. This, not an X box, you get what I mean. This little X that's blinking. There's likely spin right there, okay? And that is moving like so. And I'll give you a little storm tracker so you can see that and who's going to get what. Right here.
I was about to ask about that as well. It's a very small, tight warning there, yes.
That's more or less where you're going to likely see a wind damage or tornado, roughly. Okay, that's just a quick, rough sketch. Josh, you have something?
Yeah, so I just got the official report for the tornado warning here for northern Onondaga, northeastern Onondaga County, northwestern Madison and west central Oneida County. It is in effect until 3 p.m., as you see on the map there, Pete. Thank you. Back at 2:32, which was 2 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Liverpool or near Baldwinsville. It's moving east at 25 miles per hour, which is not super fast, but still faster than 10 or 15 miles per hour. Potential here for a tornado to be trying to come down. Otherwise, quarter-size hail and just general winds. Flying debris could be very dangerous. Those outside, anybody you know in this part of our viewing area, and Pete just showed you the projected path here. We're looking at Cicero, North Syracuse, the airport, up towards, say, Oneida Lake. Anybody along the south shore of Oneida Lake is under.
Get off the lake earlier when we were doing some cut-ins, because this is a storm that is a strong to severe weather maker. At the very least, a ton of lightning. I know I took the lightning off of this, but I'll just briefly put it back on. Look at all this lightning. I mean, and by the way, a ton of the lightning is from where there would be the tornado or strongest winds and points north. I'm just going to zoom out just a little so you can see all the lightning here. Look at this. And this has been a clear indication of some of the strongest to severe cells, Josh.
That's within the last 10 minutes, right? Or 5 minutes that we have posted there?
I believe it's the last 10 or 15 minutes, but it's really irrelevant. By the way, even though we don't technically, let me just actually bring this right back up again. I would just say heads up, even though it's you see how it's a funny looking cell here that the polygon goes like this and then goes up. Let's be heads up here on the south shore of Oneida Lake, that is Bernards Bay, Constantia, Cleveland. I'd get in your safe spot. Even if you don't get the wind damage, even if you don't get a tornado, there is a ton of lightning heading your way, Josh.
Multiple hazards, multiple impacts on people,
and hail,
property. The hail, quarter-size hail is possible. I think I mentioned that. Also, what do we usually get, Pete, when we have after-storm interviews with neighbors? What's the one phrase they always tend to say to our photographers and our reporters?
I didn't know it was coming.
I didn't know it was going to be this bad.
Oh, that too,
this is a bad storm. We don't say it that often.
Nope.
We say severe. People think, okay, we're trying to alert you that this is a very dangerous storm. Pete mentioned the lightning. We're talking about winds 60 to 70 miles per hour, even if there is zero touchdown of any tornado. I will also say Cicero, you're getting a storm basically right now, 236. Bridgeport around 250, a couple of towns. And again, staying safe, as Pete mentioned. If you are in the northern suburbs, a couple other ones up that way, Pete, again, if we're going to zoom in, just know that even getting closer to, say, Oneida Lake now, it's very flat, so there's a lot of room there for any wind to really kind of come down and just push the tree branches and impact those trees. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have power outages potentially in the area. And also, there's that skinny polygon. If we could just zoom in on the polygon of the tornado warning and just show the towns in it, that'd be awesome.
No, of course. I just wanted, again, you see the new blinking down there. I also don't want to forget our Southern Tier and Southern Finger Lakes friends that have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect as well. You see those blinking down here. We're going to stay with this tornado warning first, because that's the most imminent concern. And then we'll try to take a little bit of a tour. We zoom right in for you there, Josh. Here you go.
Okay.
Do you want the velocity?
Yeah, or just the warning polygons. We can see who are in the town, what towns are in that warning polygon, and then quickly we'll go back to the radar, because I think that's very helpful now that we only have parts of viewing area, parts of counties that are seeing the warning placement here, not an entire county, because it usually doesn't affect the entire county. It's a very small part of the storm. So we'll go through some of the towns and villages here. Bridgeport, Weaver Corner, Sheps Corner, Collimer, the airport, Salina, North Syracuse, Cicero, right along Route 31 right here. Here's 481, kind of north and south as well. Woodard, down towards, say, Clay, and up to the north here in northeast, Brown Center, a couple other towns and villages here. So if you heard your town or village named just now, and you're saying, oh, I got that alert on my phone, it's buzzing, and what does that mean? Does it mean I'm really going to get bad damage? It's not a 100% chance that you'll get damage, but it is still very high. The last time we've seen a warning in this part of our viewing area, I personally don't remember, but it can certainly happen. And when it does happen, take it at face value. So you say, you know what? I got the alert before it came through, and now I'm going to take action. I'm taking this thing seriously because Mother Nature doesn't care where you live and where you are. It's a storm, and it has winds that could certainly cause damage extensive to where you are. And on the left side of your screen, here's Cicero, and here, Pete, right there between North Syracuse and Cicero, what we're focusing on, right?
This is where the large wind bag at the very
and the pink right here. Okay.
And that's moving eastward.
That's just the winds in general peaking around, we said, about 70 miles per hour or so there.
70.
So in this general area, lower South Bay.
It's a Cicero swamp area.
Yeah, and that's also a lot of trees and a lot of low-lying area there where the winds can easily just kind of blow through. No major hills or really geographic features that can block the wind necessarily, just the trees. And guess what? When the wind hits the trees, they're going to snap and probably come down a bit. The airport also, Pete, I'd be very curious to see what the airport registers for winds here, because we're approaching usually 10 minutes before the top of the hours when they actually get their hourly report, and they report at the top of the hour for wind speed and wind gusts also together.
I can tell you that there's been at least gusts to 36. Just a brief. I'm surprised that would be the peak gust, because that top of the hour thing hasn't happened. That's just per 5 minutes. Anyway, so yeah, you're gonna have to be on Lakeshore Road there on the south shore of Oneida Lake. It's bad right now, okay, and it's going to get worse between Lower South Bay, the Route 31 corridor as well, going through Bridgeport and Lakeport.
I really hope that you took my advice about an hour ago. I really hope you did and got off of Oneida Lake and got away from the storm before it came, because now you're under the gun and you don't have time. You don't have time if you're on a boat right now, okay? I mean, I suppose you could go northeast as fast as you can, but boy, now you got a problem, because this is heading right towards not only the south shore of Oneida Lake, but let's heads up, even though we don't technically have a warning yet. Heads up next would be Sylvan Beach and Verona Beach. We've already called out Constantia. We already called out Berners Bay earlier. Josh, you got anything else right this second?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find some storm reports here. I don't know if you've seen anything, Pete, but
okay.
For the most part, I really just think we got to focus in on where the storm is and where we think the worst winds could certainly happen here.
Why don't we give some updates just on these southern storms just really quickly?
So it looks like here we have general severe thunderstorm warnings, not to dismiss these either, but because we had a history of both yesterday and already today of damaging wind gusts in this area. And I think we do have some new information about these. These warnings go in effect, it looks like, until at least 3 or 3:15. Is that correct?
49 minutes for another 50 minutes for those warnings you see on the map for Cortland and Western Shenango County. That expires in about, I think, let's see, 50 minutes from now would be 3:15-ish, 3:20, something like that, 3:30, something like that. Just want to make mention here, and this is something new that I didn't notice before. This cell that just really kind of developed out ahead of the cell.
Hail.
Well, I hope it's only hail.
Purples on radar is very impressive.
Agreed. And the winds in this are about 65 miles per hour right now on Route 92 at Highbridge. This is likely giving damage, which is moving right over Green Lake State Park that we had mentioned too. Just a quick look at velocities.
Yeah.
I know you see a little twisty thing here, which is
it's almost like trying to get the green gray there.
Of it maybe trying to spin, but more likely than not, at the very least, that area, Fayetteville, Manlius, and then eventually going to Chittenango and Kirkville to Green Lake State Park, at the very least has intense downpours, possibly some hail, and maybe some wind damage, Josh.
Can you go back with the reflectivity just for a second? I thought I saw something there.
Yep, go for it.
I want to kind of point out here, if I can come back up on the wall in a second here. So on the top part where you see East Syracuse kind of cutting over to right here, this to me almost looks like a little bit of a hook, maybe a little bit going on there. But we also have that potential. This rainfall has got to be 1 to 2 inches per hour, maybe more. I would imagine it's just a gushing rain coming down from the sky right now. Fayetteville over towards Green Lakes and north and east there, right along with that Route 5. It's probably blinding rainfall going on with anybody driving in that area right now. But yeah, this right here, this general shape is kind of bending back a little bit right here. So that's potentially telling us this storm is trying to kind of the whole cluster trying to move. And in general, there might also just be winds from aloft coming down and trying to reach the ground too.
You notice how it's an individual cell out ahead of us of a line? That worries me.
Yep. It's kind of rogue, right?
It might either try to either influence the whole line or it gets sucked in. And just to throw some extra streets on here, this just went through the village of Fayetteville. I never knew how to say this. I've driven through here. How do you say that town?
Mycenae?
I like Mycenae. Sounds like nice.
It ends in AE, so I think it's usually a long A sound.
Well, we'll go with your pronunciation because this I have no idea. But this is right
all going towards this town or village, and further off the east, out towards say Chittenango, maybe in the path, and also points north. Looks like here, this is eastern Onondaga County, and just some gushing rainfall going on. I wouldn't be surprised if they put some kind of maybe added warning on here. I don't want to jinx it, Pete, but it looks likely that there could be something there. But again, the city of Syracuse, this is all just kind of like general rain, general winds going on. We also have overlapping severe thunderstorm warning in this area too, where you see the yellow shading still going on with this line, really trying to hold itself together, Pete.
Yeah, I'm just looking at I put the velocities up just in terms of the storms in Cortland, Shenango County, they are not as strong as the ones that are currently in North Syracuse and East Syracuse and went through Fayetteville and Manlius.
I hear the rain hitting the roof now by the station. Yeah.
That doesn't mean, by the way, they couldn't strengthen to get stronger, the ones that we mentioned in Cortland County.
Yep.
Just to reiterate, the tornado warning is still in effect for another 16 minutes. It's mostly for this cell right here.
Yeah.
Mostly.
What's going on that?
Well, we've still got winds. I'm going to just zoom in on a different device here that I'm using. It's showing right now Bridgeport's got probably about 72 mile per hour wind gusts. Okay, and then the one in Fayetteville has 68 mile per hour wind gusts.
This is the mesonet we're getting the
70. No, I should say it's radar indicated.
Okay,
it's got 70. But you know what? Why don't you tell me what you want to see, and then I'll look up that information. Where do you want me to go?
I want to focus on where the warning is, where we think that potential tornado could be, and I think that's probably where we have the strongest winds in general, whether they're on the ground, spinning, or they're just coming down straight, almost like a line of people and they're kind of bowing out ahead of itself. There could be straight line winds going on there. So yeah, we'll stay focused on where the tornado warning is and where any potential wind could be occurring here, Bridgeport and areas to the east, and give everybody in the path of this storm a heads up and give them, again, that ETA of when it could really come through. So it might be raining, not storm yet, and then all of a sudden when they can expect it to really maybe hit their house or hit their camp or possibly an apartment, wherever they may be living.
Hey, let's bring up a Stanley cam because you can see how bad the visibility is. I mean, you can't see anything.
I can see maybe a building, maybe two.
Right. You don't want to be driving in this. You can do hydroplaning, and now you got accidents.
You don't know if someone ahead of you is slowed down and you may not be able to see their taillights.
It's also a good reminder you should not. I know there's some famous video of people hiding under an overpass. You do not want to do that. You're actually, I don't want to get into the physics, but it increases the wind speed.
The suction output from underneath it, yes.
Right, exactly. Right.
Pulling it out.
And this is really super early, but already 1,774 customers without power in Onondaga County. I would expect that to go even higher.
Yep.
Severe thunderstorms for the rest of Onondaga County. I just want to bring the entire map back here just to show the entire warnings here. There you go. So you still see the tornado warning in effect for another 13 minutes, especially for far eastern Onondaga County. Josh, your mic is still on if you can just mute it. And then you see the new warning that was issued right here. This is the new one right there, and also southern Onondaga County. So basically, almost the entire central New York area has some sort of warning. That's in effect currently until about 3 to 3:45, depending on which warning we're talking about. We're again zoomed in on the one that still has the tornado warning, and then that rogue cell out ahead of it that just went through Green Lake State Park, which at the very least probably has wind and or hail. You see that right there, that purple area right there. It's probably at least some hail. Throwing the velocities, to what I see, that's very, very strong wind also in Green Lakes. I really hope we gave them a heads up early on that, Josh. I really hope people got to a safe spot first. Wait, I got new information here, Josh. I got a wind gust here, at least according to the radar, of almost 80 miles per hour is on the east side of Green Lakes, heading towards that name of that town with the M is called?
Mycenae?
Yeah, it's going right towards them.
So I would imagine we start to see that kind of high wind gust.
That's this right here, this purple area.
Yep, the 80 mile per hour gusts. 80 mile per hour gusts are even above a minimum hurricane force winds, but these are gusts. They have acceleration of wind, so they have a force. It's not like driving on the highway constantly 80 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. But relative to anything in front of the wind, where it's 0 or low winds, and it ramps up to 80, that force acts on the object. For example, I mentioned when you get to 80, 90 mile per hour wind gusts, we're talking about maybe tombstones being damaged or knocked over by the wind. And that is an impressive type of damage here. Pete, I do have the information now on the extended severe thunderstorm warning. I know we're focusing on the tornado warning. Back at 2:39, a severe thunderstorm was located near Marcellus, near Freeville, and it's actually for the west side of the county, moving east at 40 miles per hour. We got winds of 60. We got hail potentially penny size or larger, and we have potential here for roof damage, siding, and trees. Locations in the severe thunderstorm warning that's been extended here include Syracuse, DeWitt, Sullivan, Oneida, Lenox, Pompey, Solvay, Chittenango, and Canastota. This storm still has that potential producing a tornado here in northeastern Onondaga County, and that's where we want to stay focused in on. If we can kind of get in there.
I'm sorry, where did you? I
just kind of zoom into that warning again, the alert, because I really want people to towns and where it is. We know it's going to be east now of Green Lakes and kind of moving east of kind of approaching Chittenango now, and also up towards Bridgeport. So right in this area here, if we could kind of get in a little tighter here on this area, I really think there is a potential here for some serious, considerable damage. Weaver Corner, just North Manlius, Filer Settlement, East Boston, Lakeport. I've been to Lakeport many times, and I know in that area there are a lot of trees between, say, this part of our viewing area out to the east along 31 and 286. I think in that area there's going to be 298 to Bridgeport, and then east on 31. Yes, anybody in that area watching on their phones right now, this is a pretty bad storm. I think it's safe to say, Pete, this storm is one of the strongest we've seen in quite a while.
They almost put a destructive tag on it. They did put a considerable tag on it in terms of, because right now, if you're in Chittenango or Sullivan or Kirkville or North Chittenango, you are about to get crushed by some of the worst part of the storm.
And I am actually seeing a little bit of a kind of a little, maybe a notch right here, maybe not. It's maybe a little bit of inflow with winds. And we got that little indicator right here with the spinning yellow icon that there could be some potential spin going on there as well. So we're still tracking that for you with the velocities here. Velocities, I just call it spin. When you have the velocity map up like these colors here.
That's certainly the strongest winds of the bunch heading this way.
Yes, the purples, the pinks there going on. So again, without the need, like I didn't get a tornado. It doesn't matter. At this point, it's just general high winds coming through. We actually call it wind shear. And that's basically the high winds up here going super fast. And then you get a downdraft, pull that down the surface and push it out across the trees and on property too.
I do want to I've been looking at just Onondaga County alone. There's a ton of counties being affected by this. Numerous wires down across Onondaga County in the Clay area, the Camillus area, Plainville. I also see something about, and I really hope this isn't true, this would be the town of Spafford. So they're saying a boat complaint accident emergency. So that would be, obviously somebody that might have gotten caught in a storm on a lake that we were trying to warn people not to be on.
Yeah.
A little worried about that. And I think we're going to see more of these roll in over the next hour or so as they're reported to police, et cetera.
Yeah, I just got a report out in Camillus. They're without power in the Wellington area. It's kind of over near West Hill Golf Course and Ike Dixon Road, that part of Camillus there, kind of on the west side of the village. And I'm seeing some heavy rainfall reports up on the SU campus right now with the rain coming through, Pete. Yep. So right here in the city of Syracuse, that rain is coming down hard. Right.
At least the rain that's coming down hard in this area is certainly going to have some gusts to it. Probably not the extreme damage that is a little bit further to the east, but it's certainly something you don't want to be outside in, nor do you want to be driving in it either.
Just purple is just kind of really holding itself together.
Yeah, and that was that supercell out ahead of the whole line that is actually being caused. I think the whole line is actually helping to
boost it up
a little extra oomph as it's heading towards Sullivan and Chittenango. Next up, by the way, would be Canonstota, the east end of Oneida Lake. Okay, we're talking about Sylvan Beach and Verona Beach, possibly Oneida and the Turning Stone area. Vienna also may get. I do want to talk. We have kind of left off this northern end. Yeah, Lakeport's getting it bad, but also this area up here towards Cleveland and Vienna, also and Sylvan Beach. That's still pretty strong in here too.
Yeah.
So this whole area right here, moving east northeast. Towards Oneida County and northern Madison County, I'd be inside even if there's no tornado warning, because you don't want to be outside with winds that are on the velocity. You want the update on that?
Yeah. So I see the little spin icon right here. We call this the tracking the storm.
Chittenango is about to get hurricane force winds on the radar, 76.
Yeah.
And right over the village right now.
And that's what you're talking about. Like if you know these winds, and the storm coming in from the west. So if you have a property, you have a house, and your driveway faces west, and you have a tree in the front yard, well, that tree might be coming at your property. And maybe you have a garage, if you have a car, and you have the ability to put that car in your garage and you're out ahead of the storm, I recommend doing that to minimize damage to your car, at least, Pete,
Okay, so just to reorganize here, from what I am seeing, I don't think we have any more tornado warnings in effect at this second. I do want to stay on the air since it's still up for another 5 minutes. I thought maybe it might have been canceled. I don't see it on my map here on this particular thing.
You have the outline on the radar map there. I kind of saw the lines there.
Okay, yeah, or maybe it is still in effect. To me, it looked like it might have been canceled. It's irrelevant because it's all the same storm anyway for you. So, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to go over this whole thing?
Do you have a storm report map? You can find that real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just anything that might be showing us out.
I don't think there's many in here. Let me just quickly show I'm just going to bring it up on a different computer just to see.
Sure.
There's really not much. The only thing that I see is up in Henderson. Okay, I can show. Hold on a second. Now, this is typically what happens when you get storm reports and such. Unfortunately, this is going to show everything from yesterday too, I bet. So yeah, it's going to take a minute for me to filter these out for a minute. Just within the last 6 hours, I'm going to just show the reports. Whoops. 1-6. You're not going to see anything in central New York because it's literally just happening. But I did want to show up here that there's injuries. There's an injured person, unfortunately, at Sackett's Harbor.
Oh.
I'm going to bring that up right now and just actually show it with the map here. Let's see, it's this one then. Tree damage in Sackett's Harbor. At least one tree fell on a house with injuries.
I was just talking about that, having a tree in front of your house on the approaching side, with the storms coming through. It can certainly happen. And that's why we think not even a tornado warning, just general warnings with storms. If you know they're coming in, you got to get away from the windows. You got to get to a safe spot in the home, because debris and like a tree, Pete, come to the bedroom window, come to the kitchen window, doesn't matter. But if you're in an interior room, you have at least a buffer between you and what's outside.
Sometimes straight line winds or tornadic winds can actually take 2x4s or tree branches and literally throw them through walls. Much less windows, which are much easily penetrated, for lack of a better word. Just to show you again, you see the different warnings that are in effect. We only have a couple of minutes left of the tornado warning, but many spots still have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We go back to the strongest cells once again, and from what I am seeing, I got to probably just zoom out just a little bit here, just to show everything and now the velocity. It's really easy to see that the worst winds are right here. I mean, it's really, really strong here.
And I know the reflectivity map too. So we have a couple of spins there too. North of Filer Settlement, between Lakeport and Filer Settlement, you see the two little spins going on there.
A little bit.
We also have the potential right in Lakeport area. Hail, probably. Gushing downpours, likely. And even some wind damage, that's straight line wind, if you're not seeing tornadic wind. But still, you can see the polygon here, just kind of near Filer Settlement, out to Walker's Corners, up to Messenger Bay. And Lakeport is still in that warning, I believe, as well, right on the edge of it, at least.
Still seeing hurricane force winds crossing Chittenango and Sullivan, that Route 5 corridor and Route 13 where they come together in Chittenango. It's where you have the Ozfest every year. They are literally getting the worst part of this storm right now. We tried to give you a heads up, and we did. Hopefully, you're in your safe spot right now, even if there's not a tornado on the ground. I should also mention, because Josh is being really smart about bringing up the fact that we got these lots of downpours, we actually could get some quick flash flooding really in some spots that are the most flood prone, even without warnings or advisories. Typically, the Weather Service hears about, there's flash flooding on X road, whatever, and then they put the warning in effect.
Right. It's kind of like a delayed alert, like after the fact, or kind of covering themselves. With all respect, I feel like we had some of that last night, kind of south of Syracuse, but also where you have rain kind of training over the same areas again and again. Pete, keep this on maybe a 1 hour loop. I don't think we need 3 hours, but 1 hour would be great.
In the same spot, or you want to see it zoomed out?
And then if we could, and then we can kind of see the idea behind when downpours kind of, think about putting a penny on a railroad track, and then that train just runs over it again and again and again. So I say anywhere in this area, from where the warning extends out to the east, all the way towards Syracuse, any of these areas, especially eastern side of Syracuse, Fayetteville, Manlius, East Syracuse, Green Lakes. A lot of this rain, I'm imagining, Pete, probably collects very quickly. I'm talking like minutes. You can get maybe quarter, half inch. I've seen sometimes an inch of rain in a couple minutes, and that is so much water that you have a regular road, and all of a sudden it's covered. And you don't know how deep that water is. You're like, do I go through it? Do I not? And what's that phrase they say at Pete that rhymes? When you approach unknown water depth, what do they say?
Turn around, don't drown.
Yeah, and it sounds silly.
I hope it's that one.
But it's a rhyming thing, so you remember it, because there are some times where you don't know how low that road goes.
I don't normally show the correlation coefficient here.
So right here?
It is very possible this might have been debris.
Okay.
That would be bad. If that was, I'm trying to see if it really, really was. I'll do a 1 hour loop. It might be. It's tough to see with this type of thing, but it does co-locate to where that is.
The high winds here in the purples and pinks, and we got the possibly the spin going on still there near Filer Settlement East. I can't read that. We have the arrow over that there. I can't read that town.
Go ahead.
East Boston, for example. That's kind of near the New York State Thruway there, and northeast of Chittenango. So.
I'm going to quickly bring up just the precipitation on a different map, just to see if there's, there's been a ton of rain, but that also includes what happened yesterday too. So if you were one of the spots that got extreme rainfall yesterday, you might actually be in not only at risk for trees being uprooted from this particular storm, but also the possibility of localized flash flooding. So if you are heading out, even after the storm is over, don't be surprised if you see lights that are out. Don't be surprised if you see flash flooding in spots. We only have 30 seconds left within this tornado warning. We'll stay on a little longer just to see if there's another tornado warning that's issued from this. What we'll do right now is we're going to just recap and show you all the warnings. And then, Josh, you got something?
Yeah, I just want to make mention about the warning here. Still a severe thunderstorm warning here for, Syracuse, Chittenango. This is for out to the east side. So this one right in here, the newest one that I see, it looks like it's until 3:45. We had that one, yes, right here, kind of pointing down. And this warning is still in effect for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, penny-sized hail, and there could be potential in this area with a warning, southeastern Onondaga County into Madison County, upwards of about 250,000 people that may be impacted. There's 70 schools.
Customers.
Yep. Well, this is not talking about National Grid. This is talking about the estimated population in the area. Number of schools, 70, and hospitals, 3. So we're talking about different areas that could be impacted greatly by the high winds going on with these storms at this time.
Next up is Oneida. Okay, the city of Oneida, which is in Madison County, and Canastota is actually first. Then Wamsville, Lenox, Oneida, Sherrill, Vernon, Verona, Durhamville. Those areas are in the path of what's now looking to me like that cell that we had been watching has been kind of engulfed by the whole line. Mm-hmm. I am actually surprised that the Weather Service is not putting a tornado warning in effect for places like Canastota and Oneida.
Yeah, let's get over that part of it.
I am going to do that. Just zoom over. I'm going to kind of bring it out a little bit and then move it over. When I have this in play mode, it's a little bit finicky. Sure. But this part right here, and I'm seeing it on different viewpoints, this is that notch situation. Mm-hmm. You kind of see it a little bit coming in like this.
Yes, right here. Here's the green.
Velocities and look at how it co-locates there.
Right there.
I'd put a tornado warning in effect for that cell, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's still got the same kind of placement orientation as well as we had it out in the Onondaga County. Now it's crossed over the border here. So we got high winds. We got basically updrafts and downdrafts, right? We got the updraft where the tornado could be, okay, what's rising, a column of air with spin. And then we got the downdraft that can bring in general damaging wind gusts down the surface, which you can get from just a severe thunderstorm warning, let alone a tornado warning. So those balancing acts, Pete, the up and down, trying to bring a rotating kind of horizontal rotation first. Think of a rolling pin on dough, and then something. I've got to put my phone down here because kind of describe it with my arm like this. Imagine it's rotating. Okay, it's rotating, and then the downdraft kind of bends it down. You never see a tornado go boop. You see it kind of come down at an angle, right? You see the rotation sometimes bringing it down, the rotation angle being down by a downdraft, and it just kind of keeps it upright like this. And that's kind of that's why these things, when they touch the ground, can go out for minutes and sometimes longer. I can tell you that the airport, Hancock Airport, did see a wind gust of at least 49 miles per hour. Okay. Which is almost severe. 58 is typically severe. And I actually think that North Syracuse was right on the border of some of the strongest winds, but I actually think a lot of it was a little bit further south and north. It was very close, but I'm actually really concerned right now, for Oneida. That's like the Route 5 corridor, and also Route 13. We can zoom in just a closer look here. Just throw, maybe I can get, I think street level goes this far, maybe not. Yeah, it does. Okay, so here you go. If you've been through Canastota or even you haven't, this is actually right over the throughway too. This is not good. Maybe we can get a throughway map here. Do we have upstairs? Let me just bring this up. Regardless, let me just name off some places here. So if you know where the Walmart is, okay, there's a Walmart right there on Route 5 and Route 365. If it's kind of the cut through where you go to the city of Oneida, or you can, if you're going to the Turning Stone Casino is right here. Okay, so if you're going here on Route 5 and you know where the Walmart is, that is right in the direct path of the wind. You don't want to be in Walmart. It's not because it's Walmart. It's because it's a big building with a large roof. You got to get into a smaller room, okay? Oneida, the city, is under the gun. Route 46 northward, as well as the 365 corridor. You're making your way from Oneida to the Turning Stone or to the Thruway, or you're Canastota, you're already in it, so there's nothing you can do now. It's those areas to the east that I'm most concerned about, and this is that either damaging wind or possibly curved or twisting winds right there. Josh. Yeah, and I've got an email in from one of our viewers. So you want to make sure clarity on this. So we basically have a pronouncer correction here. We're at town we were talking about.
Yeah, Mycenae or whatever.
Yeah, so it's actually pronounced Mycena. So MYSEENUH. Want to clear that up. But here we go. We are still tracking the winds here. As you mentioned, Canastota getting hammered right now. Wamsville, Lenox also getting on the winds here. If you're watching us in those areas, you probably hear the thunder and you're probably hearing maybe some winds approach your property right now. Oneida Valley State Bridge also going on too. We do have that potential here, not just for heavy rain, thunder, and lightning, but the winds, like I imagine these winds, Pete, are just so strong aloft all day. We looked at this last night.
Yep.
I looked at it again today. I know you did too. And it's those downdrafts are just kind of pulling the wind down to the surface, and it doesn't care which direction it's going in, even if there's not actually spinning wind, but that is still severe and still worth us breaking in and giving everybody options and information about how to stay safe on their phones and on their computers as well as their TVs. Here's a camera shot here, Pete.
Yeah, that's Canastota at the thruway corridor there. And they're just getting into some of that. It's tough to obviously see much from this vantage point. We appreciate that we have this camera just in case we can capture something. If you are either in a safe spot where the storm has passed already and you look outside and you're safe, but you notice there's a tree down or something like that, then if you're safe and there's no risk for severe storms, then you can send us pictures and videos, chime in on our website. Maybe we'll show yours on air or online. But right now, the last thing you should be doing is being outside. We've mentioned Canastota and Wamsville. Next up again would be the Vernon, Verona, Sherrill area, and then eventually making its way a little further east towards southern Oneida County in the Utica, Oriskany Falls area, Josh.
Yeah, and I can't help but notice, too, we still see these little icons here, these little trackers that try to indicate maybe some rotation going on with the storm. And that's really what you were talking about, even though the tornado warning did expire, correct? We still have this concern and is addressing the attention here, what we see.
I would have normally signed off at this point. To me, this is just my personal call. Josh, you can you can disagree with me. You can come over here for a second and take a look at the wind velocities. I mean, the wind velocities here, even in Fenner, but look at this. Look how strong this is. This is
65,
still
67,
70,
69.
You know, and it goes right up against this. So we want to make sure to, even if there isn't any twisting of the wind, we want to make sure you know to get in a safe spot anyway for these very populated areas that maybe you're outside, you're enjoying the heat, maybe you're working outside, maybe you're picking up your kids from camp, maybe you're going supermarket shopping or whatever it is. This is why we're here for you, Josh.
Yeah, and again, this whole time, the whole afternoon, the whole set of warnings here, we've seen the couplet, we've seen the green next to the red, we've seen that bright pink indicating the winds you just talked about. It's been holding itself together since across here, northern Onondaga County, all the way to the east now. And again, with this red indication, the storm track, it's not always perfect, but it gives us an idea that there still could be something happening with spinning going on, at least some winds still aloft. There's just so much energy, Pete. I know we hit 90, I think, again today, and just so much juice to the low levels. Instability, check. We've had wind shear, which is like high up winds aloft, low winds at the surface, and then they bring brought down. That's called speed shear, and we're tracking rotation. That is directional shear, so you can kind of get that happening aloft, and when it gets brought down the surface, it doesn't care what's in its way, and it can certainly cause considerable damage. And I hate to say it, we live in an area where you don't think about tornado potential here. We're not in the Midwest. It's not flat everywhere in our viewing area, but in this part of our area, there's a lot of factors come into play to allow us to get a tornado warning generated, you know, Pete? Like
back-to-back days of tornado warnings. You know, we've given, I think, this entire area a pretty good heads up. I'll throw in Westmoreland and Kirkland and maybe Deansboro and New Hartford. Eventually, potentially, the Utica area. Rome will be next, although maybe, and I'm hoping that the worst part of the storm stays south of Rome. I think it's going to be Vernon, Verona, Sherrill, Oneida, Westmoreland, Kirkland, and eventually New Hartford, Utica, Paris, Clinton, Augusta, Sangerfield, Clayville. I think we can dip out of full coverage because we haven't had a tornado warning now for 8.5 minutes. Anybody else upstairs okay with that? I don't know who's in the booth upstairs. Are we good with that decision? Okay. For now, that's a recap of what's happened. Again, we will cut in on air again if conditions warrant for another tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning with destructive winds, which we were very borderline with this particular storm, which is why we stayed on an extra 9 minutes to get you updated across Madison and southern Oneida County. Stay safe, and we'll have a full update tonight at 5. Well, of course, that happens as soon as I sign off. The National Weather Service puts in a new tornado warning, and it's in effect for a small part of Oneida County. It's actually in effect for that other cell to the north of the one we were actually focusing in on, because it's the actual previous storm that was spinning in Onondaga County. First, though, don't want to forget these people here that still have a lot of wind damage heading your way. It's the same one we've been talking about before: Vernon, Verona, Sherrill, Westmoreland, Marcy, New Hartford, eventually Utica. However, as we zoom out a little further, actually, let's go back here and actually just bring the whole view further north. It's this area right here, right there, Vienna towards Lee and Taberg in Lee Center. I know this is a less populated area. That doesn't make it any different or any less important. Right here, we have a couplet here showing you the winds blowing in different directions, so that if there is a tornado, it'd be right, whoops, not that big. We don't want it to be that huge. It would be right in the middle of that circle. How about we just say that? And that is moving basically from west to east, roughly spinning around towards Lee. The way I'm seeing it, it is moving. I'll just put a storm tracker on here for you. If there is a tornado on the ground from this particular thing, it is moving like this, roughly like so, eventually heading towards the Lee area and north of Rome. So roughly like this. And the start time of either wind damage or a possible tornado, you see it right there for Blossvale. Lee, we've mentioned those already. Lake Delta, a very popular spot any time of the year, and especially during the summer where it's really hot and you want to be by a lake. You do not want to be outside, obviously, during a thunderstorm anyway. And just to give you a broader look at how the entire line looks, the severe weather threat for most areas west of 81 and Route 11 is nearly over, because all these storms are basically now cleared just about of the 81 corridor. There's one down here by Tully, but other than that, back here, there's not going to be there will not be a resurgence of severe storms. Okay, so unlike the last event where we had more storms and possibilities of severe weather, this is a basically one and done type of situation. If you're in the Vienna area, Lee Center, Blossvale, those places, remember to do the things we've been telling other people to do. Basement is best if you don't have a basement, or you're in a mobile home. If you're in a mobile home, you do not want to be in that, because that will be tossed. You got to try to find a structure that has a foundation. Even if it doesn't have a basement, go to the lowest level, stay away from windows, and try to put as many walls between you and the outside world as possible, because those walls will actually protect you if they start caving in, if you've got more walls between you and the outside weather damage. If you've got a cell phone, bring it along with you. Maybe bring make sure your power banks are with you, so in case, now I know cell tower can go down, but as soon as that comes back, you'll have an opportunity. A radio is a good idea to get information immediately, especially if it's battery powered, of course. And you want to cover your neck and head, and also make sure you're wearing sandals, sneakers, something like that. God forbid you have damage, whether it's straight line wind damage or tornadic wind damage that could cause broken glass. There could be wires down. You don't want to be stepping on anything that could cause further injury to yourself. And even if you weren't injured, even if there was just one tree down and a broken window and you step on the window, now you got big problems. A severe thunderstorm watch is technically in effect until 6 o'clock for everybody, but I'm thinking once this line of storms clears the area, the threat for severe weather, while not almost zero, is pretty close. Here's a recap of all the warnings that are in effect. Tornado warning in effect for that small portion of northern and western Oneida County, but a large portion of central New York is still under the gun with severe thunderstorm warnings, another 12 to 27 minutes. There's the storm that still has the tornado warning in effect, and you see all these areas right here that have it. So now this doesn't look like much. It looks like just a big mush of red. When I put the velocity scans on, you can see a little bit better that you've got at least a little bit. It's not as strong as it was maybe 10 minutes ago, but it's strong enough where it's still spinning around. Looking at the radar, to me, it's not as strong as it was before. That's good. But whatever is over there is going to be crossing the Route 69 corridor between Lee and Taberg, and then eventually towards Lee Center and Ansville, the southeastern part. This particular storm appears to not be heading to Rome itself. However, I want to make sure to bring the whole view a little further south, because there's still this other storm that we have been pounding the table about, because you see all this pink here? I'm just going to take a look right now with a different vantage point, and there's still winds of at least 50 miles per hour inside that storm. Just looking at a different viewpoint. It's possibly even as high as 70 to 75 miles per hour. It's probably not 75 because it's way up in the clouds that's seeing that wind, but still likely some wind damage heading right now towards the Westmoreland, Kirkland area. We just mentioned those before. Next up would be New Hartford, the Utica area, and Deerfield, and eventually Holland Patton. And from what I am seeing, this little edge, this northern part, is trying to make its way towards Rome. I know we do get into some Rome viewership here, so even though the worst part of the storm is to your south, even just a little ramp up would put the city of Rome in the path of not a tornado, but some very strong winds. I will let you know that I am seeing the beginnings of maybe a couplet just west of Rome. It's not super strong yet, but it bears watching, as these storms have had a history of spinning up brief tornadoes, or certainly something that's, let's say, eyebrow raising. And that's actually one that, as I'm live on the air, is a little interesting heading towards Rome. So let's just be weather aware. You do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Rome. But you notice that the radar was trying to indicate rotation before as it was moving this way. So that's why we've got to be weather aware. And I brought this up even though it was out ahead of that. It's kind of in between the two systems. I'm giving you a little early warning here. Get inside and pretend it's a tornado. We make this as a good practice run for Rome. Just a good practice run. You don't want to be outside anyway. What are you going to miss? Go down to the basement, bring your phone, watch me on the air, or do whatever you want. Do a crossword puzzle. It doesn't matter to me. I would just make sure you're safe. Just treat it as a possibility that might turn to a tornado either in the Rome-Griffiths Air Force Base area or maybe Floyd and Holland Patton. It's possible. It's a heads up, a Hall heads up, just in case that goes tornadic. Right now, it's still a regular severe thunderstorm warning, which of course can create just as much damage as a low-end tornado. So let's reset. Let's go back and cover the entire area with those warnings for you so you can see who's got what and what the updates are. Not too much of an update other than I'm not sure if the Shenango County one was in it last time because I've been really focusing in on most of central New York. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Onondaga and Madison County till 3:45. Lewis County, I'd have to look because I'm not seeing that. I think it's probably about the same time period, 3:45, 4 o'clock, and still the tornado warning in effect for another 8 minutes for that area that we just mentioned. It's this one right here, this red polygon that you see right there, and just showing you the velocity. It's still showing a little bit of twist, but again, I'm also watching this twist right here entering the Rome area, just in case. You already have a severe thunderstorm warning anyway. And if you ever look at these severe thunderstorm warnings, they sometimes include the tag tornado possible. I haven't had a chance to look at that, but either way, it's this whole kind of set of storms. It actually winds up pretty close to what moved across Onondaga County. If you remember, there were two separate things. There was this one that started around Baldwinsville-ish, and then kind of went its way across Euclid and Clay and Cicero, and then it went across to the Northern Boulevard area. It went across Cicero Swamp. It went across Bridgeport and Lakeport. That's the leftovers of that storm here. This one was the one that started as an individual cell over the Fayetteville-Manlius area. It literally just homegrown, sprouted, and then it merged, and I think got a little extra oomph from the line. And what it's done is created what I think is a straight line potential wind event where you get a large area that gets one strong gust of wind in one direction like this. See this right here? This purpley area that's just to the south of Rome to about Augusta and Kirkland. Heads up for the Floyd, Marcy, Route 49, Route 69, Route 12 corridor area, and eventually then heading into Herkimer County. But that's a very large population center. The Utica-Rome area right now is under the gun for very strong winds. Obviously, lightning, downpours, and we haven't mentioned it in a little while here, but flash flooding can certainly be something that you may not have first of mind if you're outside in your vehicle right now. Do not go under an underpass because that actually makes the winds go stronger. You're going to be like, really, Pete? Yeah. Think of it this way. If you've ever been in a city with big buildings, especially a lot of them, it can be very windy in between buildings. It's a physics thing. The air is forced to go into that tightened area. Like between these two monitors, all that air has got to go faster through there. So going under an underpass is actually forcing the winds to go stronger. So if you're caught out in the storm in the middle of a field, God forbid, what you want to do is lie flat in a ditch area as low as possible, believe it or not. That's like last resort. if you're in the middle of nowhere and you can't get to a safe structure like a house or something like that. So we still officially, technically have we have many severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have the tornado warning in this red polygon by Lee and Ansville. It's in effect for that particular storm, which, with all due respect, is not as strong as this one here. It just isn't. In fact, if anything, the Rome storm that I had been keying in on, this one, look, did you see that little spinny things pop up? I'm going to tell you, if there's a new tornado warning, I have a feeling it's going to be for the Griffiths-Rome area or points east-northeast. Okay, that one looks much more suspect, much more dangerous than the one that's in Lee. That's not to say that there isn't damage there. I'm saying looking in the future now, looking forward, I'm worried about the Utica-Rome area. I'm worried about New Hartford in this area. Hey, if you got friends and family, they might be not aware of this. Give them a heads up. In this area, basically all of these towns and cities that you see right here, give them a heads up. In New Hartford and the Utica area, you know what? They just put a tornado warning in effect. Not to say that I had a feeling, but I did. And a new tornado warning has now been issued right there. Yep, got it. Thank you, Josh. Is that a indicated one? Just want to curious. Does it say radar indicated?
Nope. I was actually coming in to share some actual new damage reports from the Syracuse area and Onondaga County from the history of the storms. Whenever you have a minute.
Let me just get this. This literally just came out. Remember the storm in Rome? And I said I got concerned. They just put a tornado warning in effect for that.
Okay.
Smart move by the National Weather Service.
Sure.
Let me just show you the area for that. Okay, and this was an area that I called out before it even happened. Okay, this is a heavy population area. Rome right now has a tornado warning in effect. It is radar indicated, so there hasn't been an actual tornado cited by police or anything, but it doesn't matter. Treat it as if it is an actual tornado, and it's heading right now literally over Rome. Look at the couplet, Josh. Look at the couplet. It's right over Rome.
Yep.
Which means that you've got strong winds like this at Griffiths Air Force Base. You've got winds blowing this way.
I'm wondering if that part of the area is getting what we got in Syracuse, that EAS alert on their phones for folks out that way.
They absolutely do. If you have a tornado warning, the EAS is going off on your phone, and maybe you're watching us. Josh, tell us about the damage you felt, and I'm going to play around with the radar.
Yeah, so kind of going through it. So I know our managers are listening in tonight as well up in the control room here. So I want to give them the information as well as all of our neighbors and viewers, because we may be able to go out and capture some video and take that for our late newscast later on tonight. So first off, some flooding reported, Pete, back at 312, flooding over road under the city of Syracuse on I-81, so kind of the underpass where 81 and 690 cross pass there right in the city of Syracuse there. We have also had some trees down out in Geneva to our west. Back here locally, Plainville area back at 207 had a tree down on Church Road. So Plainville area, trees down on Church Road there. And then talking about power outages briefly, at least 800 outages in the Elbridge area, Pete, over 900 outages in Phoenix, 560 plus outages in the Fulton and Volney area, and 280 plus outages in the town of Schuylkill. Also some more reports out towards Baldwinsville right now, 211 p.m. tree down blocking an entire road. It's called Dinglehole Road and Church Road. So where those two roads cross right on Church Road, tree down blocking the roadway there. In North Syracuse, tree down over Bear Road and Harris Circle. So you know where Bear Road crosses Harris Circle, tree down in that area. Woodard, tree down at Buckley Road and Bear Road. So Buckley and Bear Road in the Woodard area, a tree is down blocking the road there. Euclid, a tree down at Glacier Ridge Road, as well as River Road. So right where those two roads intersect as well. So Pete, we've had, unfortunately, tree damage, which we were talking about the whole afternoon here, right? Whether it be tornadic or straight line. But when the trees impact roads, of course, that impacts travel and makes things difficult to get around too. And you never know if there are any wires down nearby. I haven't seen reports of utility poles knocked over, but certainly there could be some that haven't been reported yet.
I don't know if you gave the total amount, but there's nearly 14,000 customers in Onondaga County without power. That's a lot. That's almost 5,000 in Madison at this point and county. This storm, Josh, you can just step out of the way, just to your side. You can actually stay in the key if you want. This is that couplet right. It's literally right over the city of Rome. This is bad news.
Yep.
Strong
Yes.
winds at the very least, and maybe even, it's definitely a rotating thunderstorm, Josh, right?
Yes, and we see the pinks here on the east side of the city. That's where we're having at least, 60, 70 mile per hour winds accelerating up that high. And wind gusts, of course, we know have Pete. F equals MA in physics, right? Force is mass times acceleration.
I was told there wasn't going to be any math on this test.
Acceleration of winds. We're not talking about a constant wind speed like this, right? That doesn't have any force to
76
it.
mile per hour winds.
But when the wind accelerates and just hits objects like trees and property, windows, anything outside, it can abruptly move it out of the way and snap tree branches. Also looking at the indication here with our Doppler radar here, showing they'll spin potentially with this system. And again, I see the greens really juxtapositioned with the reds, and that's where we find the winds as you draw with the arrows here, really kind of like rubbing your hands in one way. They're kind of spinning and causing this really high impact storm in this area, whether it be rotating winds, which it looks evident, or on the outsides of it, maybe just some straight line wind damage.
Yeah. So let's recap again, just to give you everybody, because we have to stay on during a tornado warning. When you have that, I know you're missing some programming right now. We give tornado warnings, even if they're radar indicated, the full amount of attention because they are so dangerous. We are also covering the other storms, and we're trying to highlight the ones that have the strongest winds for you. Yes, there are many regular severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, but the worst of the storms are still are moving eastward. I will let you know that there's going to be likely, this is the line of storms that's going to be the worst, okay? There might be some leftover showers, but this is not going to be something that gets repeated later today. Just again, zooming in, the original tornado warning is this one, but that storm is now either gone or moving further northeast. Just looking at velocities, that original storm that was in Taberg is now towards Western and West Branch. It's not that strong, but could need to be watched. And there's the same system. We had really been so close in the Rome area in the street level map, but we want to zoom out just a little bit because just to show you the loop here and who's next. Okay, who's next is going to be Floyd, Holland, Patton, and East Floyd and Trenton. And just giving you a little bit of a storm tracker here for you. This is when the storm, if it's the worst, we're talking about the worst part. Now, we know it's raining and stuff, but we're talking about if there's damaging wind and hail, there's the start time of it in those places. We've mentioned a few of them. You see a few more on the screen right in through there. Good reminder that there could be flash flooding in this as well. And another reminder for you as well is that if you run into traffic lights that are out, treat them as a four-way stop. Even after the storm is over. We just mentioned how many customers are without power. That's just households, okay? We're not mentioning traffic lights, which I'm sure if you've got that many customers without power, and now we've got new storms moving into more metro areas like Utica, Rome, etc., that's going to cause, at the very least, some localized power outages, so we want you to treat that as such. Just in terms of the tornado warning and what you should do in case you haven't had, oh, by the way, Lewis County, I just saw, which was smart because they just had extreme flooding this past Friday, and they don't need much more rain to get back to a flooding situation there. I'll get to that flooding situation in a second. But first, that tornado warning, which is still in effect for Oneida County, stay calm and go to a basement of your building. If it's a huge building, you do not want to be in a huge room that has a roof that could get damaged and cave in. You want to be at the lowest level and an interior room. A small room is best with walls, as many walls dividing you between you and the house and the outside world, because those outside walls actually protect you. Of course, you want to have some communication. You want to protect your neck and head, and not shown here, also wear shoes. Let's say you go to the basement, everything's fine. You walk up this basement and then you notice, oh my gosh, my living room's got window broken everywhere and your shoes are on the other side of the room and you can't get to it. Well, now you're going to get injured. We don't want that. So always when you go for a tornado warning into a basement, or if it's a severe thunderstorm warning, that's a destructive one or something like that, you want to make sure you're wearing shoes. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, watch until 6 p.m., but it's the warnings that are the most dangerous here. And up here is the same spot. You see this green, and then there's a green polygon. I know it's sort of out of our viewing area, but it's right on the edge. Lewis County, the same spots that got flash flooding. Do you remember that on Friday? You're under a gun of another flash flood warning in effect. Notice, by the way, that the 81 corridor is done with severe thunderstorms. There are still a couple of stragglers, a couple of downpours and showers that might move through, but the danger zone of rain that has wind damage, that might have hail, that might have a spin up of a tornado, that has now ended for the 81 corridor, but it still continues for Oneida County, especially the tornado warning that's in effect until 4 o'clock. There's still technically a tornado warning in effect until 3:45 for this cell in Taberg, but I mean, that's out of that. I'm going to guess that they're probably going to say to that warning, sayonara, see you later, because there's very little in the way of twisting there anymore. We still have that twist, and Josh, I'll get to you in a second. We still have that twist that went through Rome that's now in the Floyd area, still moving this way, and we still have these strong winds in Utica moving east. This is all basically almost out of our viewing area right now. We can bring this back and just show everything. And while we are showing everything in a 1 hour loop, Josh, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's got some more damage reports to pass along from the storms that moved through areas near Syracuse and points west earlier today. We were covering that tornado warning earlier initially for Cayuga County, Pete, and then eventually into northern Onondaga County. So just a couple of reports to pass along to anybody still watching here, whether it be on your phone, your TV set, your computer, or maybe both, or a couple of those. Camillus area back at 213, pole and wires down and fell on a car, and that's in the town or village of Camillus. Marcellus area back at 211, tree down on Kelly Road. Kelly Road in Marcellus, a tree down. In Cicero area around 2:30, a tree reported down on a car on Riley Road. Riley Road in Cicero, a tree down as well. And also trees down on Henry Clay Boulevard. Actually, trees down on wires on Henry Clay Boulevard back at 221. In the Lysander area, Pete, we had a report of tree on wires on Plainville Road. So Plainville Road in the Lysander area, trees on wires. And the last report here, tree down over Morgan Road near Route 31. So again, news folks listening in on this too, we got many spots where our photographers could go out. Certainly right now, reporter could go out and look at some of the damage here. We're talking Camillus, Marcellus, Cicero, Lysander, Liverpool area north of Syracuse. Many areas right now, unfortunately, have had some damage, Pete.
Yep. Want to show one more thing, and then maybe we can hand this off. It's close to where we're almost out of the viewing area here, but let me just give me 1 second to reorganize this, and I'm going to take this off, okay, and then I'm going to put a different thing on. I'm looking at a different radar site. There was a correlation coefficient drop, meaning there was likely debris around and northeast of Rome. That is not good. Let me see if I can show it on this. I'm not sure I can, but I'm going to do my best to see if we can, just to see if we can show it in the loop. So let's see. It's not very easily seen here, but it's this area right here. This right here is showing us that there's been debris picked up by a possible tornado. It's this. I'm showing you here. That looks like a debris ball, which would have been over Rome and picking up debris and then moving it northeast towards the Griffiths Air Force Base and Floyd and maybe Holland Patton.
Yeah, and in a related note with other damage in parts of upstate New York, this is I got some information here, Pete, from
Syracuse Harbor.
This is from Suzanne Curtis on X or Twitter here. Yeah, Syracuse Harbor had a number of trees down in downtown Syracuse Harbor, and considerable damage is blocking roads. It doesn't even look like a road there.
You can't even road. Yeah. That was the first storm we had covered. Remember, we were very concerned when it was over Lake Ontario. We're like, wow, this could be a really bad one. Unfortunately, it is. Okay, so, and look, by the way, Josh, this is a velocity. It's right where the CC drop was.
Yep.
That's the tornado.
It's east of the Air Force Base there.
It went, I think it went right over Rome. And right over the Air Force Base. It either touched down over the city of Rome or possibly to the east. Now, I should be careful, and I'm seeing something on radar. So that radar indicated we don't have visual confirmation. We don't have storm surveys, obviously, because it's ongoing. But it would not surprise me if we find out tomorrow or whenever that there was a tornado near the Rome, Floyd area moving east-northeast, I'm afraid.
So a couple of ETAs for some of the towns here in the path. We just drew the arrows here, Pete, going out to the east-northeast here. So right now the time is what? 3:38. So let's see, 3:40, Holland Patton, it's on your doorstep. Stittville, same thing. Steuben at 3:45. Trenton, Remsen, and Trenton Falls at 3:50. So that's where the storm is heading in that general direction. If you know anybody in that area, or if you're watching right now and you live in that area, safe space, using common sense, getting away from the windows, If you have a basement, you get to watch us on your phone in your basement, and hopefully your Wi-Fi still works there. But there have been reports of power outages in Syracuse, Pete, so it's possible that Wi-Fi might get knocked out for some folks, even if their phone switches over to cell service.
I got some important information. The National Weather Service has upgraded this to a observed tornado.
Okay.
It's a radar confirmed tornado. And this is, by the way, we're all over this before the tornado warning was even issued here, by the way. A confirmed radar indicated tornado located right over Rome was moving east. This is the same one you had just been mentioning. So I'm glad we gave them a heads up before, and we're still giving them a heads up. I know this is maybe outside the viewing area now, but since we have a observed tornado on radar, Route 12 corridor is next. 274, you're very close to it right now between Steuben, not in Steuben County, the one in Oneida County, East Floyd, Holland, Patton, and then Remsen as well. You still kind of see a little bit of a debris here, by the way. It's an older scan, but you get the point here. It's this storm moving like this. I know it doesn't show up well in reflectivity, which is why we're showing the velocities so often, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you want me to zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, this gives a little more definition of where we're, and that right there, I mean, you can see that. It's huge swirl going from, was that Boonville up to the north?
Trying to bend out here.
Yeah. And
it might be a new thing trying to develop in here.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's definitely got, like right here, just kind of drawing an S. Here's the S, right? And talking about winds coming in from the northeast here and coming in from the south here. And that spin right there, right along that edge between the green and the red is where we really try to focus in on. And yes, the radar or our graphics computer here is trying to indicate maybe some spin, but in general, it's pretty close to where we talk about Holland, Patton, Trenton, South Trenton, East Floyd, these route names here, Route 12, north and south in the path of the storm. What is this? Route 365 heading northeast or southwest there through Holland, Patton, north on 274 between Steuben, East Floyd, and Holland, Patton, Pete. So, we're at street level. When we're at street level in a severe thunderstorm and a tornado warning, it's a serious storm here. And it's just something we have to track in real time because it's not just like a line of storms where it's clearly kind of sweeping through. We are tracking it as almost like a dot on the map. And where's that dot moving, right? Like this.
Yes, 365 corridor, big problems between Route 291, 274, and Route 12. That's where it is right now. It's likely... There's a new radar scan, so we can zoom out just a little bit. We get these every couple of minutes or two. It still looks very strong to me. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I'm thinking of at least wind speeds 60, 70 miles per hour because we still have these, the yellow lines here. We still have overlapping severe thunderstorm warnings in the area too. But with a tornado warning, usually a minimal EF0 when they confirm these, when they go out and survey them, Pete, isn't it usually somewhere between 65 and 85?
Yes.
We've been saying that the whole afternoon here with these couplets, these little areas of kind of spin going on. So 60, 70, maybe 80 miles an hour, that is really high winds, higher than we average see in the summertime here in Syracuse from non-tornadic type of thunderstorms.
That's right. Just a quick thing to let you know. Let's bring up the outage map. We got about 20,000 customers just on National Grid alone without power. That doesn't count NYSEG, which covers a good chunk of the area. Now you're going to just see a bunch of circles, and there's a big area that big. You can see all those areas over Oneida County too. That's just developing, by the way. Oneida County is up to 6,500 customers, but Onondaga's got good 14,000 customers. Madison about 5,000. Oswego 2,000. But this is unfortunately, that's what I was going to say. The radar is still showing, besides the twist, right around the Trenton area, which is near Barneveld, 80 mile per hour winds in the storm.
Yeah, and that kind of wind,
which is right here. It's right in this area,
and that's beyond just taking down a tree. That can take down a big, thick tree that's been there for over 100 years, possibly, or stripping the bark off trees. I've seen that happen with potentially tornadic storms too, where the tree is left, but branches are ripped off and the bark is just removed like skin off of the tree itself. So yes, in this area here, as you're drawing the arrows, Trenton, Russia out towards Ohio, you're kind of on the outer edge of where the warning kind of cuts off, but still, if it were to continue to the east, that would be in the path of it here. So again, with this storm, even if there's no actual tornado where you may particularly live, if you're living too far north or too far south of this, there is still high straight line general wind gusts happening with this storm. And, Pete, when they go out to survey these, probably tomorrow, I imagine, the National Weather Service will be pretty busy throughout looking at all these areas that had warnings today. They're looking for, did the trees fall in one direction? Did they fall in one 2, 3, 4 different directions. And that's when they kind of display, hey, there was definitely some spin, and we're going to classify this as a tornado for sure beyond the visual, you know?
Right. And what I was trying to show when I had all those lines is the storm, you were out of this studio area, but I had noticed a storm organizing here, and then it increased over Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw on a different radar scan something between Rome and Floyd being almost confirmed debris in the air, being wafted in the air.
Like larger pieces of debris that the radar can actually reflect back to the site to give us the data, right?
Exactly right. And right now it is about to exit Oneida County because it's the worst part's right on the border here, Remsen, the Route 12 corridor. That is likely going to be now moving into, as you mentioned before, Ohio and out of our viewing area for sure. But we will stay with this until the official tornado warning is done, which will be in 15 minutes, or if it is canceled earlier. It's right on the border here of Oneida and Herkimer County. And I have a really bad feeling that potentially there was some, at the very least, damage or maybe a tornado confirmed somewhere between Rome and Floyd, because it was confirmed on radar and we were tracking it along with them.
And this is a little concerning too, where we have the actual rotation icon here, the storm track icon overlapping, where you and I have been tracking this here on the velocity spin. So kind of overlapping here, we've got the intense rainfall. I also want to say that when we talk about the debris field, we're talking about that spot that Pete was just mentioning here. Pete, I would imagine that the debris to be large enough for this to see a kind of like a pixely area. We're talking probably like maybe sheds or like roofs. Maybe I'm kind of guessing now for it to hit that hard, where it could be corn from a cornfield. It could just be a bunch of things as densely together, or just larger things kind of nearby.
It's just the radar showing, okay, this thing that I'm seeing in the air doesn't look like the others.
Sure.
It's like the Sesame Street thing. What doesn't look like some of these things don't look like the other. Sometimes, you got rain and hail. That's two of the most, or snow. But when it sees tree branches, debris, whether it's barns or a trampoline or whatever it is, it says, the radar sees that and goes, well, that looks different.
Yep.
And that's what we saw on radar, a different radar scan, not the velocity. It's called correlation coefficient.
Yeah, so it's always good. We have these tools to help our viewers and neighbors understand what's happening. These warnings are issued by the Weather Service, and for ourselves, Pete and I, to give the information on the air, because we're kind of almost like the translators, Pete, right? We forecast the weather. We do. We look at these, but it's specifically to one storm. Well, we don't decide whether we get on. We would like to all the time, but when the Weather Service issues the warnings and we don't issue them, we are reporting on where the warnings are. We want to make sure we're kind of giving you the right information, helping you make decisions. If you're in the path, do not brush the storm off. Do not think this can't hurt your area or damage your property, because we've already seen, I just listed off reports, Pete, out in Syracuse. We've had a number of reports here with trees down on roads, not just trees down in the woods where no one lives. We're talking about trees impacting travel too.
We may have a house collapse in Canastota.
Okay.
Let me just quickly look at that. That would make sense, because remember, we were calling out Canastota as a possibility here. Just see here. It's tough to see. I got an email from one of our producers saying that they're investigating a possibility of a house collapse on Barlow Street in Canastota.
Okay.
So we'll look into that. Of course, we're going to also make sure to keep you posted on this. Again, we're going to stay on the air in Oneida County or until that tornado warning is dropped. It is for the areas of far eastern Oneida County, and also, even though you technically don't have a tornado warning, you have a severe thunderstorm warning in Herkimer County. Heads up in that Grant, Russia, Hinckley, Ohio. I've actually never heard of this town. Hurricane. You ever heard of Hurricane Herkimer County?
I have not.
I've been here for 30 years. I've never heard of that.
Yep. I know a lot on our map. Sometimes the names that pop up might just be, it could be an intersection of a couple of roads. It could be possibly a village. But no, I have not heard of Hurricane New York.
Now we have. You learn something new every day. If you don't learn, you're not a lifelong learner. It's good to learn new things, isn't it? Okay. Griffiths Air Force Base reported 79 mile per hour wind gusts. Confirmed.
That's above hurricane force, correct?
It sure is.
And wow, let's just call it, basically it's almost 80. It's around 80 miles an hour.
Which we were calling out.
Yes,
we were calling that
70, plus up to 80 miles an hour. And if this becomes a confirmed tornado by the Weather Service when they do their survey and they see that kind of high wind magnitude and gust, the gusts are the worst part, Pete. They have the force. I would imagine you're going to see considerable damage in this area because of that. No doubt.
I mean, it went right over the city.
Yes.
And right over Griffiths Air Force Base. So when it is safe, if you're watching this or know anybody from the Rome area, let us know if they're okay first. And then if everybody is okay, if you can get us pictures or videos, we would love to hear it, only if it's safe and only if everybody is not hurt or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what are the odds that we had the storm cluster move through the Syracuse airport and then the Griffiths Air Force Base airport as well, because we actually have, they have the stations already at the airports recording weather data. In this case, winds are a great way to indicate and see how high the wind gusts have been, along with, there are other areas in upstate New York, Pete, on our New York State Mesonet, where they have the suburbs that report winds too. We'll have to check those out as well.
Agreed.
As we go through this afternoon.
Yeah. Let's see here. Just making sure I'm not missing anything on Twitter here. Yeah, it is. It looks like we have a big problem in the Rome, Griffiths, Floyd area from that storm that went through that is now moving into Herkimer County. We are obviously going to continue to monitor and see how bad it was in terms of actually ground truth, meaning the unfortunate possibility that there was a lot of damage there. This is obviously a breaking news situation, so we are going to, once the conditions are safe, as you should also, if you're still under a warning, you should not be venturing outside. But if you do see any damage, if you do see anything, let us know, whether it's flash flooding, if it's wind damage, if you have pictures or videos of the winds or the tornado and you were able to do it safely, send it by chiming in. Josh.
I think we got a power outage map. We can pull that up, Pete, in our control room there. Thank you, Lane. 45,000 people now without power, and this is a map. It looks like of which part of this area is this eastern sections in the Rome area right now. Yes, so considerable number of people without electricity, and that's why the beautiful thing is when I send out that push alert, Pete, so people can watch us with their phones, making sure they can see that also through X. If their power is knocked out, they can still have the phone to watch our live coverage. When I was younger and we'd get power outages, I always thought it was kind of funny how the news has got to get on and cover this. Well, they do, but sometimes people could not see our news or weather reports.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right? Remember back in the day, we'd have phones. Now these phones are great tools to have to follow along with all this information. So, it's not just your block. It's not just your neighborhood. There are a number of neighborhoods that are being impacted by this weather today.
Yeah, and I can just, and I'm just doing too many things at once here, but there's a ton of outages in NYSEG that I can't estimate how many right now. There's a lot of customers without power. Okay, so let's recap again. We're going to bring this back to just a reset of where the warnings are in effect. It should be noted that the 81 corridor is fine now. We do not have any warnings in effect. There are some leftover pop-up showers and downpours, but not severe thunderstorms, not something that's going to cause damage. But further to the east, we still have heavy weather, and that is moving now towards the Mohawk Valley and eventually towards the Catskills and the Adirondacks. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So there you go. There's the storm heading out. I think we'll stay on for another 8 minutes here until the warning is allowed to discontinue. I'm just going to take the light. The lightning is just incredible. Not surprising, by the way. There you go. This is still spinning right here. Still spinning, roughly near Hinckley. That is still a likely, at least rotating thunderstorm moving towards Ohio. Ohio is next, and it's actually starting to twist a little bit to the left here. I'll take off all of this so you can kind of see. Yeah, it's kind of feels like it might want to go a little like that, just a little bit. We'll see. Either way, it is a dangerous situation that went through the Rome, Floyd area, possibly Holland, Patton, and Trenton, and now still a suspect strong to severe situation heading into Herkimer County, right near the Route 365 corridor between Route 12 and Route 8. You do not want to be outside. You want to be in your safe spot. In fact, that's the thing we'll leave you with, because we are only going to stay on the air for a minute or two now, because now this is in the Herkimer County area, which is outside of our viewing area. There go the storms, the severe line threat, which will, by the way, continue to bring worse weather. Maybe you've got people, or you know anybody in the Adirondacks in eastern New York and the Catskills. Give them a heads up, and eventually into Vermont area as well. And then I just want to show you again, for those of you, again, in Herkimer County next, even though there's not a tornado warning in effect, these are the things you should do. And then we'll go back to the radar. And one more thing from Josh, and I think we're going to sign off. Okay? What do you got?
Yeah, so I got a new report out in the Rome area, Pete. If we kind of zoom in back in that area as I give this report, because it's pretty destructive here. So in the Rome area, there was destruction of a church steeple, and it was ripped off the church roof. Okay, so a church steeple is made usually out of bricks and high stone. Also, a roof was ripped off of a grocery store in Rome. It doesn't give the name of which grocery store, but most grocery stores are flat, right? They're flat buildings. So I don't know the name of it or the size of that store, but I would imagine that for a roof to be ripped off like this, Pete, we're talking that 80-mile-per-hour wind speed.
At least.
Really trying to do a number there. Also out in Sylvan Beach, there's been a number of trees and wires down blocking roads in the Sylvan Beach area out to the west there on the east side of Oneida Lake.
An incredible situation that is ongoing in terms of having to now clean up in the Rome Griffiths Air Force Base area. If you know of anybody that has had damage, you can always let us know so we can cover it for them. For Josh Kozlowski, I'm CNY Central Weather Authority meteorologist Peter Hall. We have a full update coming up in 65 minutes.